I'm breathing underwater, I'm weightless through space. I'm soaring like an eagle all over this place. Creatures most will never see are waiting there to look at me, and all I gotta do is breathe underwater. Nothing like introducing a little mystery into our episode titles, eh?
Well, I'm sorry, sir. You can't go in there. We're on the air.
I'm Admiral Nelson. I have to get inside.
Look, I'm sorry. You can't go in there. We'll just have to wait till the program's over.
I can't wait. Look, I have special permission.
We already know that's not Admiral Nelson. He can't hit that hard. He slips into the studio where some scientist is touting his new gadget to bring energy to the world.
All that implies power. Power to run the machines of the world at a cost so small as to be almost free and in unlimited supply. Simply by harnessing the vast, untapped energy. My project to control the power of the tides has already started.
Controlling the tides. That means dinking with the moon.
I foresee trouble.
Dr. Mason, you mentioned resistance in some quarters. Would you care to name any names?
I see no reason not to. There is one man in particular in the scientific community who has fought this project from its inception.
And his name is...
As a matter of fact, the principal reason for my calling this hurried press conference is to prevent this man in a press conference of his own from feeding his lies to the world.
Drag it out, draw it out, way out.
Dr. Mason, is there any reluctance on your part to name the man?
None whatsoever. This man, who is trying so desperately to deprive the peoples of the world of this magnificent benefit, is Admiral Harriman Nelson.
Liar! You're a liar and a fraud.
That is the most intense way of saying am not I ever saw.
Dr. Mason.
See what he's doing there, checking for a pulse? I'd like to ask you to keep that in the back of your mind. Admiral Nelson is on the run, and police of every kind are hunting for him. There's just one problem.
The body of Dr. Mason is being removed. We're waiting now for word of the capture of Admiral Nelson, who, in an obvious moment of insanity, cold-bloodedly shot down his bitter rival, the man whose project he so vigorously opposed. For the moment, it would appear that Admiral Nelson has made a clean getaway, although it seems plain that with the entire world alerted, his capture is just a matter of...
Admiral Nelson was right here in this office with Captain Crane when the whole thing went down. That means there's somebody out there who can make himself look just like him, or presumably anybody. Captain Crane will call the authorities and tell them so.
Anything wrong?
It's dead.
Or not. That thing tells him someone is jamming all their communications. Captain Crane says, fine, I'll go on that same program and tell them you were with me the whole time. Wouldn't it make more sense to tell the police that first? What's his problem with Mason anyway?
Well, there's no question the man was a genius. As part of his project, he and his group developed and built an electromagnet larger and more powerful than anyone dreamed possible.
I never heard him talk about it.
I was probably the only one outside the group who knew about it, and I think I know where he's hidden it. Somewhere in this area, right here.
In the ocean.
On the ocean bottom where it's almost impossible to detect it.
Oh boy, I think I can see where this is going, because remember, he was talking about controlling the tides. There's only one way to do that.
Look here.
Well, what's the moon got to do with it?
Everything. Mason's device has already established a magnetic field around the moon, powerful enough to alter its orbit.
You mean to tell me that this machine of Dr. Mason's could actually change the position of the moon?
It already has, slightly.
What it's doing is pulling the moon closer to the Earth. Presumably that changes its gravitational pull and alters the tide. The big question is, does his thingy also put it back when he's done with it?
The moon will be pulled closer and closer to us. Now, if it reaches the point of no return, before we destroy the electromagnet, it'll crash into us and quite literally end the world.
I'll take that as a no. Chief Sharkey comes in, relieved to see that one of his favorite people isn't a murdering nutcase. The police are here, so while Sharkey gets the Seaview ready to sail, Captain Crane will go give his testimony. He has to be cautious, so getting there will take him out the back door and along that ever-popular winding mountain road with high cliffs and all. And the ever-popular bad guy with a bigger car will chase him into a trap. Ever wonder how they know where he's going and what he intends to do? Because we know he won't tell them, but the impostor will borrow his face and do it anyway.
Now, will you tell the watching world where you were when Dr. Randolph Mason was shot and killed?
In Admiral Nelson's office at the Nelson Institute at Santa Barbara.
And who was with you at that time?
No one, I was alone.
Then Admiral Nelson was not with you?
How could he have been? I was watching him on television. I saw him shoot and kill Dr. Mason right here in this very TV studio.
Admiral Nelson understands what's going on, but he's the only one. The crew is angry. The real Captain Crane is in the back of a truck, tied up and still rambling along that winding mountain road.
Going down that long, lonesome highway.
Yeah, but he'd rather do it by choice than by coercion. And besides, Bronson wouldn't do his thing until the following year, so he's no help at all. Luckily, there's a box with some tools in the truck with him. I can't tell what it is, but it has a sharp edge, and that's what matters. He has a boat to catch. Stay down below the shoulder where they can't see you, knothead. Never mind. They'll make a nice dust screen so he can escape. They couldn't have helped him any more if they'd thrown a smoke bomb at their own feet. How much does our man pay these guys?
Say, Chief, we're not going to sail without the Admiral, are we?
Of course not. The whole idea is to get him out of here.
Well, how's he getting aboard? The whole dock out there is swarming with police.
Look, Ski, let's leave that up to the Admiral, huh?
As Kowalski said, the place is swarming with police. He's not about to advertise his plan.
Okay.
Hold it. Hold it. Give us some slack. That's it. Kowalski, give us a hand. All right, take it up. Close hatch and secure loading.
I'll get a detail and we'll stow it. Good idea.
Guess who? Kowalski's never gotten an Admiral by special delivery before.
Missile Room, this is the exec. We're standing by to cast off, but there's been no word yet from Admiral Nelson.
There is now, Chip.
Admiral?
How soon can we get underway?
Oh, immediately, sir, but there's one thing. Captain Crane is topside with the officer of the deck. He's requesting permission to come aboard, sir.
Isn't that a bit like asking permission to open your own front door? Chip wants to know why they should let him aboard after what he did, but Nelson says, bring him down and let's get going.
Hello, Chip.
Lee.
Where's the Admiral?
He's aboard.
All right. Let's get underway.
He can feel the temperature in the room, and he knows why.
What happened? All right, come to my cabin. We have to discuss this.
Nice.
By the way, you look like somebody already did what the whole crew wants to do.
Then when I got back, I heard what I was supposed to have said about you over the air.
What are you going to tell the crew?
Huh? What else can we tell them but the truth? But you know, I'm not sure I know what the truth is anymore.
Well, now you know what it feels like to be impersonated on a worldwide network.
But it was a beautiful job. You've got to hand him that.
I'm more concerned about his motives and his talent. Someone has gone to fantastic lengths to stop us from reaching Mason's installation and destroying it.
So ask yourselves, who would do that and why? Whoever it is obviously doesn't believe the moon will destroy the Earth. And if you're supplying energy to the whole world, you're not only infinitely rich, but infinitely powerful. Who would be most interested in that? Find the answer, and you have all the answers.
Coast Guard, sir. Our port clearance has been withdrawn. We're to put about and return immediately.
They're a little late. We've already passed the breakwater.
Well, there's a cutter overhauling us now, sir, with a warrant to board and search. Do you want to talk to their commander, Skipper?
No. Give him my compliments and tell him to go to the devil.
We didn't say that other word on television in 1967. And besides, according to the Bible, the devil doesn't live there anyway. He lives here on Earth. 10 years, 2 degrees. I can't help myself. Crane orders a crash dive and full speed ahead.
Chip, here's our course. All running speeds are marked. As we hit each point, let me know how we're doing, all right?
I'll see to it at once.
Whatever o'clock and all is well! They're rolling along and will probably get there on time.
Mr. Morton, are you aware of our present course?
Yes, sir, I think so.
You think so? Look at this.
It looks all right to me.
All right. This course is almost the exact opposite of the one I gave you.
The course you gave me?
Yes. Not more than 30 minutes ago, I gave you a course to set, and you deliberately ignored the order.
Well, now, hold on a minute, Lee. You never gave me any such order.
Uh-oh, I think we know what that means. Captain Crane was having vivid dreams again.
Now, what are you talking about? I gave it to you in person right here in the control room.
A half hour ago?
That's right.
Chief, come here a minute, please.
Sir?
Tell the skipper where I've been for the past 45 minutes.
Well, he was with me, sir, inspecting these stores in the mess room.
Crane tells Nelson he doesn't dare sleep. Who knows what kinds of orders the impostor might give while he does. He goes to the doctor to get something to keep him awake for the next 24 hours. Now, they've been discussing how they can't be sure of who anybody is, so be suspicious.
When you're dealing with nature, you pay for what you get. Sure, I can keep you wide awake for another 24 hours. But at the end of that time, you're going to be dangerously exhausted.
That doesn't matter. Now, once the mission's over, I can sleep for a week. Now, look, Doc, you have no idea how important this is.
Well, if it's as important as all that, I'd like to give you something that'll work a lot faster and better than pills.
He's probably talking about amphetamines. He draws up a syringe. No veins, though. In the 60s, it wasn't unusual for someone using speed to inject it into a muscle, so it worked its way through the body slowly and the high lasted longer. Captain Crane probably doesn't know about any of that. He's just following doctor's orders.
In a few seconds, you'll never know you were tired.
I have a feeling he'll never know anything again when that stuff hits.
Doc, you finish with the captain. Will you take care of me?
My pleasure, Admiral. Only take a few seconds.
Oh, by the way, have you finished that special medical report I asked for?
No, not yet. I've been pretty busy.
Oh, pretty busy, huh?
He did what Captain Crane neglected to do, suspect the doctor and verify who he is. The real doctor is kicking that folding door to get their attention.
What is it? And is there an antidote?
I'm going to say yes. In minutes, the captain is okay again. But our man got away, and who knows who he is now. The moon is getting closer and closer, and Nelson wants to rub Washington's face in it a little.
Sparks, it's a coded message, priority 1. Break radio silence and send it to Washington immediately.
Aye, aye, sir.
Any questions?
No, sir. I'll transmit at once.
And he just made the same mistake Crane did.
You know, from now on, we're going to have to be suspicious of every man aboard.
Too bad he didn't make that retroactive to a few seconds ago, because that guy beeping behind them isn't Sparks. Who knows what he's actually sending, but shortly after, the U.S. Navy is all over the place trying to track them down. Spoiler, we'll never find out because Nelson will never ask.
Chief. Hi, Sparks. Say, Chief. Hi, Sparks. What'd you want? Didn't I just pass you? That couldn't be. Look, I got your message. When I came out here to look for you, you weren't here. Message? What message? Chief, you called me on the intercom. Said you wanted to see me.
And Nelson will never ask because the chief will never tell him about that. He thinks he's a little off his gourd. Another sub is coming at them, so they activate all their stealth gear and run silent. It appears that they're still undetected.
What's that? A lead flank. Secure silent running.
Then again, our bad guy is resourceful.
Kowalski! What are you doing? Kowalski! Kowalski!
He can't catch him. When the chief reports Kowalski's actions to the captain and the admiral, they realize it's time to bring him into the circle. They should have done that with him and Chip a long time ago. First, a few questions to make sure he's really the chief. We learn that he was born on Coney Island and went to Lincoln High School. So did I, only on the other coast.
You got an A in only one course there. Now, what was it?
Home ec?
No, I'd like something a little bit more specific. What subject?
Admiral, that's something I never told anybody but you.
All right, you can tell me again.
Yeah, but
It won't go any further, Chief.
Go ahead.
cooking. I was the only guy in the class and it was kind of a gag.
Why is he embarrassed about that? Being a good cook is a good thing. If you live alone, it's a really good thing because you eat good food. No tuna sandwiches and ramen noodles for you.
We've got fried chicken, turkey, Salisbury steak.
Because in the 60s, it was TV dinners.
Now, you see, Chief, the thing we're most worried about is he might try to sabotage the ship.
So we've planted a booby trap inside the main powder locker on the theory that sooner or later he'll come looking for high explosives.
We want you to keep your eyes open. If you see anyone acting suspicious, keep him in sight. If he heads for the powder locker, just let him go. Don't interfere.
But the powder locker's off limits to all hands except with the written permission from you.
Exactly. So if he goes in, the booby trap will explode and knock him out.
They're making some big assumptions. But when they're right, they're right.
Chief. Corman, lay down the core to F on the double. The chief's been hurt.
Aye, sir.
Now they can tell that the guy on the floor is wearing a mask. This guy is amazing at getting the latex to blend with his skin, but when something goes kaboom in your face, it can tend to loosen the spirit gum. I use spirit gum on occasion, but I'm happy to report that I have never verified that part personally. Of course he's not the bad guy. Our man knocked him out and put the mask on him.
I was on my way from the missile room and I got hit in the back of the head. That's all I know.
His story hasn't changed from the moment he regained consciousness. If you ask me, he's telling the truth.
I would imagine there's a nice lump back there to verify his story, too.
This is Nelson. Is Captain Crane still there?
All right here, sir. Kowalski's still sticking to his story.
He must have been hypnotized and used as a decoy to make us believe that he was the guilty one.
Where'd he get hypnotized from? He was bashed in the head and hauled unconscious into the room. He woke up and moved, the booby trap went off, and he stumbled out. No hypnosis needed. That leaves me saying, huh? In his cabin, Nelson has been poring over the video of the shooting. It took him a while, but he finally spotted the tell. Too bad he won't tell us what it is. He's saving it for the big reveal. My first thought when I saw that was, hold on, Nelson is left-handed. But then I remembered he always shoots with his right. It's a good idea considering the way those Colts are made. If you shoot it left-handed and you're turned the least little bit this way, the shell could poke your eye out.
Admiral, this is the exec.
Go ahead, Chip.
The gunner's mate reports a missing package of high explosives, enough to blow us sky high.
Chip, this is the captain. I'll investigate it.
Captain Crane was saying this guy is desperate enough to blow up the ship. Nelson is sure he won't do it while he's still aboard. This guy isn't interested in going down with the ship. Then again, he could be mistaken, but our saboteur does have an escape plan. The most obvious one when you think about it, which is why it caught me by surprise. I didn't think about it.
Chip, the flying set ready for launching.
We just finished a routine check. She's set for duty.
Good. Stand by for launch. I'm taking her out.
Alone?
Yes, I've got an idea I want to check out. Won't be going long.
Escape accomplished. I told him to bring Chip in on this.
Chip. Lee! Who ordered the flying sub launched?
Well, you did. Unless I'm out of my mind, you're out there aboard it right now.
Wait a minute. You saw me give you orders and then take off, right?
I could have sworn it.
I told them to bring Chip in on this.
Admiral, it's happened. he's jumped ship.
At the very least, explain it to him now. He's earned that much after the undeserved butt-chewing you gave him before. He won't. The Admiral isn't answering the intercom, so Crane orders battle stations. Kowalski insists he's okay to return to duty, so we put him to work operating a bomb sniffer. After a few corridors, it leads him to the missile room.
Escape hatch.
I kind of assumed they could disarm it by pulling out those two things that the other guy plugged in. I guess not, and they can't stop the timer. Only one thing to do.
This is it, baby.
In the flying sub, he can't hear the explosion, but he set the timer and knows the bomb went off.
They're all gone now. All of them. No more Nelson. No more Crane.
I'll take over.
He does the required lurch, we have the required struggle while the flying sub screams out of control. It's all standard stuff, except nobody gets shot. We have to find out who this guy is, and we can't do that here. Although, I'm pretty sure I know now, and you probably do too.
Aye, all right, Admiral.
Here's our man. Let's see who you really are.
Was that a dirty trick or what? I have a feeling very few people got up to pee during that commercial break.
Well, Mason. An assassination victim, you've made a remarkable recovery.
The first time I watched this, it hit me right before the mask came off. Only one man would risk so much to save Mason's work, Mason. But explanations will have to wait a moment.
Contact dead ahead.
Yes, it's his giant magnet. A salvo of torpedoes, and now it's many, many, many little pieces of used-to-be electromagnet. I won't bother showing it because it's actually reused footage of an island blowing up from a previous episode. Good old frugal Irwin. Now for Mason.
I finally spotted you on videotape, Mason. When you impersonated me, you forgot to take off your ring. Now, you should remember that.
Now, obviously, the assassination victim wasn't you, Dr. Mason. Who was it?
Well-trained assistant. I made up to look like me. Naturally, the poor fellow didn't know I was going to be shot.
So, you set him up, let him trust you, and you killed him for what? Theatrics? I am firmly opposed to the death penalty, but there are days...
Well, as a matter, gentlemen, nothing matters now.
Put him in the rig. Okay, Mason.
That's right. The moon is returning to its orbit and the Earth is out of danger. Until the next self-important nutcase comes along. And now for my biggest gripe. Mason killed an assistant wearing a mask to look like him. They're telling me that when that show host was checking his neck for a pulse, when he was taken out, when the Undertaker was working on him, nobody noticed? Hey, his face is still pink. The rest of him is blue. That's not right. That's not supposed to happen. What do? Call a priest!
The whole world's waiting to get their hands on him.
Just wondering how they can possibly find the punishment to fit the crime?
Good question. That's part of the reason I'm against the death penalty. Okay, you killed him. So what? What did that fix? If that's all you can do to him, he won. Governments tear their hair out trying to find quote-unquote humane ways to kill people to make it quick and easy. That's supposed to be the most terrible punishment possible. Hook him up with an IV, he falls asleep and doesn't wake up. Again, if you're required to make things that easy for him, he wins. He's dead and you can't do any more to him. I hope you enjoyed it. I prefer to give him the rest of his life to think about what he almost did. He wasn't paying attention to the reports coming in from around the world, so he really thought his magnet was doing a good thing. Stick him in a cell and make him watch all the reports of the disasters he caused, all the damage and chaos he brought about because his theories were wrong. And every so often, throw a bucket of cold water on him to let him know what it felt like, too. That's a punishment that fits the crime.
All I gotta do is breathe underwater. Breathe underwater. Breathe underwater.